The CEO's voice was cold and unwavering when she ordered security to search the single dad's bag, and in that gleaming glass lobby filled with silent employees and echoing footsteps, a man's dignity seemed to hang by a thread. He stood there, shoulders squared but eyes tired, as the guard reached into his worn leather satchel, the only thing that looked older than the exhaustion on his face. No one knew that inside that bag was not just paper and plastic, but the fragile remains of a father's pride. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet strength of ordinary people, take a moment right now to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Because stories like this remind us who we really are. The lobby of Harlow Industries sparkled with marble floors and towering windows that reflected a city obsessed with success. Employees moved with purpose, their heels and polished shoes tapping in rhythm with ambition. In the center of it all stood Daniel Reyes, a 34-year-old single father clutching the strap of his brown satchel. His gray sweater was clean but faded at the elbows, his jeans pressed but clearly old. He had ironed them the night before while his 6-year-old daughter slept on the couch beside him, her tiny hand wrapped around his finger as if afraid he might disappear. Daniel wasn't there to cause trouble. He wasn't there to steal. He was there for a maintenance contract meeting that could finally stabilize his struggling repair business. After losing his wife 3 years earlier to a sudden illness, Daniel had become mother and father overnight. He worked long days fixing appliances and longer nights helping his daughter with homework, cooking simple meals, and whispering reassurances that everything would be okay, even when he wasn't sure it would. But to the sharp eyes of CEO Victoria Harlow, Daniel looked suspicious. She had built her empire from the ground up and trusted no one easily. Her tailored white blouse and crimson skirt mirrored her personality, precise, controlled, unyielding. When she noticed Daniel adjusting his bag near the security desk, whispering to himself as he reviewed documents, she assumed the worst. In a world where corporate espionage was real and reputations could shatter overnight, she chose caution over compassion. The order was swift. Security stepped forward. Conversations died mid-sentence. The revolving doors behind them spun lazily, as if unaware that a man's worth was being silently weighed. Daniel's cheeks burned as the guard unzipped his bag. He didn't protest. He simply nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. He had learned that arguing rarely changed minds already made up. Inside the bag were neatly stacked folders, a small lunch container with a peanut butter sandwich crusted at the edges, a pink child's water bottle covered in cartoon stickers, and an envelope thick with medical bills. The guard hesitated as he pulled out a crumpled drawing, stick figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. At the top, written in uneven handwriting, were the words, "For Daddy's big meeting, you're my hero." A murmur rippled through the onlookers. Daniel's eyes dropped to the floor. That drawing was never meant for strangers' eyes. It was his armor. Victoria's expression didn't soften immediately. Years of boardroom battles had trained her to suppress emotion. She stepped closer, heels clicking against marble, and asked for an explanation. Daniel finally spoke, not defensively, but honestly. He explained that he had brought his daughter to the city that morning because he couldn't afford a sitter. She was waiting downstairs in the car with his elderly mother, who insisted on coming despite her fragile health. He explained that the contract meant stable income, better health coverage, and maybe finally replacing the broken heater in their small apartment before winter arrived. Before Victoria could respond, the elevator doors opened behind them. An older woman stepped out, her silver hair pulled back neatly, her posture slightly bent but her gaze fierce. She had overheard enough downstairs to understand what was happening. She walked straight toward her son, then turned to face the CEO. Her voice trembled, but not from fear. She said that her son had once given up a scholarship to stay close to home when his father fell ill. She said he had slept in hospital chairs, worked double shifts, and still graduated with honors. She said he had held his wife's hand as she took her last breath and promised her he would raise their daughter with courage. Then she asked a question that sliced through the tension like glass. When did success become so blinding that people stopped seeing humanity? The lobby felt smaller. Employees shifted uncomfortably. The guard stepped back. Victoria felt something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. She had grown up watching her own mother clean office buildings at night, had sworn she would never feel powerless again. Somewhere along the path to power, she had built walls so high that compassion couldn't climb them. Looking at Daniel's mother, she saw not defiance but dignity, not accusation but truth. For the first time that morning, Victoria truly looked at Daniel. She saw the faint dark circles under his eyes, the calloused hands of someone who worked with tools, the quiet restraint of a man used to swallowing humiliation. She imagined her own mother standing in a similar lobby decades ago, being dismissed because of worn shoes and tired eyes. Something shifted. Victoria dismissed security. She picked up the child's drawing herself and handed it back to Daniel carefully, as if returning something sacred. Without fanfare or apology speeches designed for optics, she invited him upstairs to continue the meeting properly. But more than that, she listened. She listened as he presented his proposal with steady determination. She listened as he explained cost-efficient maintenance systems and safety improvements that could save the company thousands. By the end of the presentation, the boardroom was silent, not from suspicion but respect. Victoria approved